Patrick Valera, and this is my final project on gait development. So first we're going to go a bit of an overview. So you have your 4 stages of gait development: your early childhood, your childhood, adulthood, and then older adulthood. After we go through those stages, we have our theories and principles, our common gait abnormalities, possible constraints, and references. So first, starting with early childhood. With your base of support in early childhood, it's not very stable, and that's because your leg and your foot muscles are still developing. Your stride lengths are very short, and that's because your legs are also still growing. The arm swings are very large because you're still learning control and balance. With your initial contact, it's great initial contact. The heel strikes first, and it's in dorsiflexion, and the knee but the knee is extended as opposed to flexed. In your mid stance, you want to keep the knee extended and your foot flat on the floor. Terminal stance, you want to make sure that you flex your knee and then you lift your heel first. In your pre-swing, your heel is coming up and you're flexing your knee. You want to lead with that flex knee, and then you want to make sure that foot comes up neutral. In your initial swing, your flex knee leads and your foot stays neutral. In your late swing and your terminal swing, extend the knee, dorsiflex the foot so that the heel strikes the floor first. Different theories and principles for toddlers. The muscles are not yet developed. They're still learning their balance. Your legs are still growing. Mentally, they're still developing their brains. They don't understand the mechanics of walking yet. Common abnormalities. They have a large arm swing. Again, they're still learning their balance, and they don't have full control of their extremities yet. Their base is unstable. They're still working on those muscles in their legs and in their feet. Sometimes they can have physical disabilities such as cerebral palsy. This plays a bigger part than mental disabilities in your walking. Possible constraints: mental and health development. Height. Mental disabilities have shown to not really affect gait at this age. They show it to affect it at a later age. We have childhood development of gait. Now in the video that was shown to us, the child had a stable and steady base. She was able to balance without assistance. She was able to run and control her momentum. Her strides were pretty short. She did not extend her legs. She kept the knees flexed, and her arms were not swinging too wildly. They were down at her side, and they moved contralaterally with her legs. And her initial contact, she was in plantar flexion. She struck the ground first with her toes. We want her to be in dorsiflexion. Strike first with your heels. Her mid stance, her heels never actually touch the ground. She just stays on her tiptoes and stays plantar flexed. In her terminal stance, she still stays in plantar flexion, lowers the heel just a little bit, but then still comes up and pushes up off the toes. Her pre-swing, she was in plantar flexion when lifting the foot off the ground, and the foot was propelled upward and then forward. Her knees were flexed. The foot starts in plantar flexion and stays in plantar flexion when moving, and the knee is still flexed. In her late mid-swing to terminal swing, she does not extend her knees and instead keeps them flexed and steps down immediately, shortening her stride and still plantar flexed with the feet. Theories and principles. This child has a much more stable base compared to her early childhood because she's developed more leg muscles and has gotten used to walking. She's learned to control her arms. She doesn't need them for balance anymore. Mental disabilities are starting to affect the development of gait. Common gait abnormalities: benign acute childhood myositis, and this is calf tenderness and sudden onset of moderate to severe pain, and this tends to go away rapidly within a week. And another abnormality: momentum. Children are still learning to control that momentum. Sometimes they'll carry that momentum into certain objects such as tables, walls, doors, and they tend to keep their toes in plantar flexion. We call this toe walking, and it's common when children are trying to get into something or when they're trying to grab something. In the video, the child was chasing after a toy, so that's probably why she was staying on her toes, because she had more control of her momentum when she was on her toes as opposed to being flat-footed on the ground. Possible constraints: like I said earlier in the last slide, task constraint. In regards to the video, she was chasing a toy. Mental disabilities also are starting to play a huge role. Timing and matching pace. Children are having a little bit of a hard time matching certain paces, especially the slower ones. Height plays a big difference, especially in stride length, and then they still have to pay attention to where they're going or if they're paying attention to things that they're doing. Adulthood. The base of support is very stable and very balanced. Stride length is not too short, not too long, it's just right, and it's dependent on height and leg length. The arms don't swing much, they are down at the side and they move contralaterally with the legs. Initial contact, we're in dorsiflexion, heel strikes the ground first, foot is flat on the floor. In your mid stance, foot stays flat on the floor in neutral position, knee is extended. Terminal stance, the heel starts to come up off the ground, foot moves to plantar flexion, and the knee flexes. In our pre-swing, we want to be in plantar flexion, push off the ground using our toes, flex the knee, move that flexed knee leg forward. Initial swing to mid swing, still flex that knee, lead with that flexed knee, keep the foot neutral. In late mid swing to terminal swing, now you want to extend the knee so that you can get as big of a stride length as you can while still in a comfortable position. Dorsiflex the foot so that that heel strikes first. Theories and principles. Our legs are now fully developed. Our minds are fully developed. We understand the mechanics of walking. We understand balance. There's 6 determinants of gait theory, which is pelvic tilt, pelvic rotation, knee flexion, knee and ankle interaction, hip flexion, and lateral pelvic displacement. Abnormalities. Physical disabilities such as cerebral palsy, poor posture causes muscle imbalances, injuries such as injury to the spinal cord or to the ankles, even to the knee, that all affects your development of walking. Possible constraints, your height. Sometimes some people who are taller have a larger stride length than people who are shorter. Injury, like I said on the last side, possible spinal cord injury can affect your walking, your ankle injury, knee injury, hemiparesis, and amputation. As we get older, our base of support starts to become more unstable. We start to get more wobbly, and we possibly need more support, such as cane or walker. Our stride length is now shortened and a lot slower. We don't have that same balance that we used to. Our arm swings are down by the side, minimal swing, and it's still controlled, but it's where our legs are starting to deteriorate because of our muscles and our joints just having more wear and tear. Initial contact, the foot starts to be flat as opposed to being dorsiflexed. We don't dorsiflex as much. We try to, but it gets a little bit harder to do that. Still plantar flexes in loading response. In mid stance, the foot still stays firmly planted on the floor. In terminal stance, the heel still comes off the ground first, pushing off the toes, and the knees are still flexed. In our pre-swing, we're still in our plantar flexion. Initial swing, the knee still flexes. We bend those knees, and the knee that's flexed still leads our leg forward. In our late mid-swing to our terminal swing, the knee still stays flexed. Slight knee extension, foot slightly dorsiflexed, but mostly stays neutral, and the foot lands flat on the floor. This is only because our muscles aren't as strong as they used to be. They start to deteriorate as we get older. This is all normal things that happen. Theories and principles, wear and tear. More than 60% of subjects aged 80 or older have a gait disorder. This is just normal things that happen as we age. Common gait abnormalities, balance. Like I said, it's hard to balance. Sometimes we need a cane, sometimes we need a walker or handrails. We have an inability to stabilize our stance because lifting one leg up off the floor and keeping one leg on the floor really puts a lot of strain on our knees, on our muscles. We have a lot more joint pain because we've been using them all our lives, so the more we use them, the more they tend to hurt, they tend to deteriorate. And all of this is normal as we get older. We have musculoskeletal, neurological systems, nervous system, cardiorespiratory systems. All those start to get more and more deteriorated as we get older. Possible constraints, age, body deterioration, joint pain, weight, loss of stability, and references. Thank you for sticking with me, and I hope you all have a great day.